Ladies and gentlemen, Impact Wrestling fans, I'm here to break down Impact Wrestling, another episode of Impact Wrestling. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. Also, you can find me on Twitter at OMGCorby and at 2SweetPod. That's the number 2SweetPod. I do my live tweeting from either of those accounts, so feel free to follow both. I will follow back as well. So moving on to Impact Wrestling, we got the great open acknowledging what happened last week, and we started off with the match Tessa Blanchard versus Jake Crist, and this was to further the build that we had going on. Tessa Blanchard versus OVE. That's been fairly interesting. I'm gonna get into that later on as well, but what we got here was a pretty darn good opener that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the fact that, look, this is not all about disco, like a disco inferno build to where he is down on the ladies, the classic stereotypical guy down on the ladies into another intergender match. This is just Tessa Blanchard versus Jake Crist, competitor versus competitor, equal competitor versus equal competitor, nothing less, nothing more, and I enjoyed that. But looking at it, we got a fast start. Tessa Blanchard had 3 topes in a row to start the match. Crowd was very into it, and what we got here was an intriguing match. I love the Koji clutch that Jake Crist put on Tessa Blanchard. That was a fantastic transition, but at the end of the day, Tessa Blanchard would go on to pick up the victory. She hit the Magnum for the win, and this has been a solid build for Tessa Blanchard. And we had OVE come down after the match. It looked like they was going to lay a beat down on Tessa Blanchard. She got out of the ring, did the Just Bring It sign to Sami Callihan, and that was well done as well. I gotta say that, look, I would love for Tessa Blanchard to continue to be showcased in the Knockouts division, but if it's going to be an intergender match, they are doing it very well. They are doing the build very well. I gotta hand that to them. So moving on, we got a fantastic transition to where they didn't even jump into the commercial break. Eddie Edwards came right down. Batman Fulton was already in the ring. Eddie Edwards went toward the beatdown, so that was pretty different for a change. And of course, he went right into commercial break after the beatdown. But looking at this match, for the most part, it didn't go very long, but I did enjoy it for the most part. We had a spot to where Madman Fulton was gonna nearly kill Eddie Edwards, about to powerbomb him over the top rope, but Eddie Edwards reversed it. This match didn't go very long, and right as it was picking up, we got Killer Kross on the screen, and he was pretty much torturing what we thought was the Sandman, and that got Eddie Edwards' attention. He got a waterboarding that kind of went over the top for me, but it is what it is. And that caught Eddie Edwards' attention. Madman Fulton stuck up behind him, hit the End of Days for the win. And Madman Fulton, I gotta say that he is a big man, not your new age big man where you can fly around the little guys, mess around the big guys. I like to say that all the time. But there's a lot of potential there with Madman Fulton. If they cultivate him right, if they build him up right, to which they're doing a fairly decent job of building up Madman Fulton. And I'm interested to see where it goes from here on in with him. So moving on, we had a backstage segment. Poor Alicia Edwards is always caught up in Eddie Edwards' craziness. And she was caught up again trying to get him to calm down and try to talk him out of finding Killer Kross. Eddie Edwards, of course, did not listen. So we moved on from there. Moose versus Tommy Dreamer. And I gotta say that this was a match that I did not enjoy. If I'm being totally honest with you guys, and that's all I'm here to do nearly every week whenever I can give a Impact Wrestling review. This was a match to where I look at Tommy Dreamer and he's best used in your multi-man matches. I already don't like the fact that, the ECW guys are there. I think they're getting a little bit too much time, but it is what it is. I can live with it. It's just that Tommy Dreamer is best used in a multi-man match, not in a singles match. And especially not against a guy like Moose. Moose is your new age big guy, but Tommy Dreamer, if it's gonna be a singles match, at least put him in a match with a smaller guy that can really carry the match and do all of the work. I didn't really enjoy this match. It was decent at best, but Moose would go on to pick up the victory. He had a nice carbon footprint into the chair, which flew into Tommy Dreamer's face. That was pretty nice. And he picked up the spear to finish off the match. So after that, Moose went to lay the beat down on Tommy Dreamer, looking for the Band Terminator, but RVD would come down and run him off, and that furthers the build to RVD versus Moose at Slammiversary. So we moved on, and we had Taya and Johnny Bravo looking for Rosemary, and Taya was all shook up about Su Yung. I said that she needed Rosemary's help, but Rosemary was like, if I'm gonna help you, you're gonna need to give me a title shot. So Taya agreed to that. And next up, we would have Taya Valkyrie versus Su Yung. And this was an interesting match. Not what I would call a good to great match. There were some decent spots here. I felt like right as the match was picking up, the match was over. So that really hurt the match in my estimation. Right as it was picking up, we had a nonsensical disqualification, if I'm just being totally honest. Taya is on the top rope, and Havoc just jumps up on the apron and clubs Taya Valkyrie for the disqualification, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, why did she even jump up on the apron for the disqualification? I don't know. We'll see as it goes on, but Rosemary would come down to help out Taya Valkyrie, and James Mitchell would grab the mic. James Mitchell he is one of the more underrated managers or advocates. I guess manager is not a good word these days in wrestling. One of the more underrated advocates in all of wrestling history. So he grabbed the mic. He could have always cut a great promo. He did cut a great promo that time around. Said that the ladies are welcome. All 4 ladies are welcome to a Monsters Ball match for the Knockouts Championship at Slammiversary. And yes, that is going to be a phenomenal match. Arguably gonna be a match of the night. Screw arguably. That is gonna be a match of the night candidate. I cannot wait for it. This should be the moment where Rosemary recaptures the title. It is time for Rosemary to take her spot back into being one of the top features, or one of the top men or women in all of Impact Wrestling. I hope she pulls it off. I hope she pulls it off. So we had Ace Austin come down, and they gave him a mic for once. I was like, okay, Ace Austin is cutting a promo, and I gotta say that it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty decent. I said, okay, Ace Austin can actually talk on the mic. They need to let him do it more often. So we had an open challenge, and TJP came down. TJ Perkins, it is not a debut, it is a return of Manic, the formerly known Manic. TJ Perkins comes down, and I was like, oh, that's a surprise, because I don't read the spoilers. Obviously this has been happening, but I don't read the spoilers just for reasons like this, so it can be a surprise for me. So it was a surprise, and what we got here, I was like, okay, this is gonna be an awesome match, but we have a problem here. TJP can afford to lose his opening match, and Ace Austin can afford to take a clean loss here as well. So watching it, I was like, oh man, I hope it ends by disqualification. That helps out everybody. But what we got here was like a 2 to 3 minute match. Like, we didn't even get a chance to enjoy these guys. And for me, what I hate here is that Ace Austin was treated like a glorified jobber, I gotta say. TJP picks up the victory, and what was a fun little sprint for 2 minutes, but Ace Austin, he talked about how he was undefeated before the match, and he was. And I gotta say that if you're gonna have TJP come back, have him come back and beat somebody else in 2 minutes. Not Ace Austin. The guy is really good, had some really good momentum going for him, got on the mic and had me excited, but he got sacrificed in 2 to 3 minutes, and I'm like, Come on, man. Not Ace Austin. Anybody else. But TJP picks up the victory, and I'm excited to see what he can do for the X Division in the X Division. I think he's going to be phenomenal in the X Division. Next up, we had Eddie Edwards going around backstage looking for Killer Kross. He would eventually find him later on in the night. But after that, we had the Rascals. They were chilling in the treehouse, as Conan describes it. They were upset with getting beat down last week. So Conan came in. He even got his theme music playing, the LAX theme music playing, the Clubhouse theme music playing. But he came down. He said that, you know what? He respected the Rascals, but they are just like LAX, but they do not have the respect of LAX. And that's what's different about them. Told them about coming down into the clubhouse and how they shouldn't do that again. And he promised a massacre at Slammiversary, and I guess that means we're getting LAX versus the Rascals at Slammiversary. I'm very excited about that, and this was a decent to good segment. I always enjoy the Rascals quote-unquote treehouse segments, and Conan did a good job here. The feud moves on with LAX and the Rascals. So as we would move on, we would get Eddie Edwards again. He was backstage. He eventually found someone, and it was not the Sandman. He goes out the door. He gets clubbed over the head by Killer Kross. They're going back and forth, and gets to the point to where Eddie Edwards is laying forearms in Killer Kross's face. And then we get Alicia Edwards coming in out of nowhere, and she's talking to Eddie Edwards. The whole time I'm like, you're just gonna leave a blood fight just to turn around to Alicia Edwards? And I'm like, okay. So he turns around, and all of a sudden, Killer Kross is busted open. And I'm like he's not busted open, but bleeding from the mouth. And I'm like, okay, I can't buy that. He just gave him like 2 to 3 forearms in the face, and now he's bleeding from the mouth. I can't buy that. So then Eddie Edwards turns to Alicia and then turns back around, and I guess he bites off the nose of Killer Kross, bites off the face of Killer Kross. Like, did we just write Killer Kross off due to the issues that he's having with Impact Wrestling? I talked about that as well on the podcast if you want to check that out. But did they just write Killer Kross off? I have no idea. That was a strange segment. We'll see how it goes going forward. So moving on, we had Sami Callihan, and he cut a pretty good promo, as Sami Callihan always does. Talked about treating Tessa Blanchard like an equal. He said that he wanted Tessa Blanchard at Slammiversary. Said that he was gonna make her famous. And I gotta say that, like I said, I would much rather Tessa Blanchard be in the Knockouts division, continuing to make her mark. But if we're gonna do an intergender match, they're doing it the right way. Like, this is not, like I said earlier, not Disco Inferno. This is Sami Callihan saying, you're an equal, bring it on. I'm gonna bust you open just like I do everybody else. And that is going to be a match of the night candidate. That is going to be a phenomenal match up. Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan. I cannot wait. Slammiversary is going to be a good one. July 7th. Do not miss it. So we had the main event after that. Rich Swann versus Michael Elgin versus Johnny Impact. And what we got here was an insanely fast matchup. We got a sweet double German suplex that Michael Elgin pulled off. Rich Swann went flying on that German suplex exchange. We got a Rich Swann double cutter in this match. So many great spots from this match. The disaster kick reverse Rana that Rich Swann pulled off. And to end the match, Johnny Impact would hit a Spanish fly on Michael Elgin, but Rich Swann would come out of nowhere with the 450 on Johnny Impact for the win. He would pick up the win, but he would get nearly beat down by Michael Elgin. Michael Elgin came for him, but he would fight him off. That brought down Johnny Bravo, and the beatdown was on Rich Swann. Elgin and Johnny Impact got into it, and that brought down Brian Cage returned. He laid out Johnny Bravo, laid out Johnny Impact, and would go on to powerbomb Michael Elgin. The fans were going wild. It is just heartwarming to see that guy back. How I've missed that guy. Like, something has just been missing in Impact Wrestling, the title, and that guy himself. Just a great segment all around. The main event was great all around. Impact is just on a roll with the main events, great main events, and Michael Elgin is just on a roll with great matches. So Brian Cage comes back, he stands tall, and we should have a phenomenal Impact next week. This Impact this week had its ups, had its downs, but for the most part, it was decent enough. Something that I enjoyed for the greater majority. So Brian Cage would stand tall, and that would be the end of Impact. Let me know your thoughts on Impact, whether that's at 2SweetPod on Twitter, that's the number 2SweetPod, or at OMG Corey B, or in the YouTube comments. Let me know your thoughts on Impact Wrestling.